Hello and welcome back to the channel. People everywhere are getting sick and ill. It doesn't help that the skies are being sprayed with all sorts of weird and wonderful toxins, the like of which we've never seen in 100 years previously. We've also seen that our water supply has all sorts of very strange chemicals in it, and it doesn't help that they're putting fluoride into the water and that the government wants to put that across the whole nation. So people are getting ill and sick. But what happens when you're ill and sick and you need support from who you think has been put into position to look after you and care and supply money and all the needs that you might have if you're somebody, particularly somebody who's paid into the system over the years and is now needing to turn around and say, well, I'd like to have a little bit of that cash that I paid in, that you hopefully invested and made money from, so that you can look after me. Is it easy? Well, those people on benefits and disabled handouts, of course, are finding this extremely difficult. The government seems to be turning their back against them. And a viewer has got in touch with me, Martin, and he said, I am on a rant. And he sent me this email and he said, you're welcome to use all of it or some of it. And I said, well, I'll use some of it to see if we can make a point. It'd be interesting to see how other people feel about the same situation. So in today's show, I'm going to read that out. Before I get on into the email from Martin, my correspondent, I just want to remind you of the open day on the Electro Farm, if you fancy coming along. It is on, let me just remind myself, the 22nd of March. You can go and have a look at the interview I did with Liz Phillips in Kent. And all the information is there. Tickets are £15 and there's a link to it. The Great Resist, of course, it's part of the Great Resist. And one of the great things is the ability now to go and remember, I suppose, is those techniques from the electro culture. And if you fancy a farm day, in Kent, near Canterbury, then this could be it for you. There's a few tickets left to go along. Do check out the video, and as I say, the link will be on the website. So let's get back to today's video and the email. He says, gaining sickness and disability benefits is extremely difficult in the UK. 30 to 60 page, highly complex, deliberately tricksy forms, harsh interviews, forms, other documents willfully lost by the Department of Work and Pension staff and the likes of Capita and Atos, who are paid piecework style to keep those in need off benefits. Tribunals held in courts as if being sick or disabled is a crime, to intimidate the most vulnerable in their time of need. This was made worse by Ian Duncan Smith of the Tory party, which pushed up suicide rates in the sick and disabled, and this was barely reported on the mainstream media at the time. At that time, also, no support, no rehabilitation was given when benefits were pulled like a rug from beneath the sick and disabled. Wheelchair-bound people with disabilities such as cerebral palsy could not eat, urinate, defecate, wash, bathe, or do anything without 24/7 support, pushed to tribunals in court because willfully treasonous, cruel, performance pay-related psychopaths in the DWP stated that the person was fit to work, not an isolated incident, but commonplace. Interesting how the Department of Work and Pension civil servants obey transient government ministers who, on a whim, decide to persecute the sick and disabled when they in fact should obey the sovereign people, their bosses, you know, us, Martin says. That is treason, surely. Meanwhile, our MPs have no such worries, no performance related pay for them, no upward appraisal from their constituents, their bosses, the sovereign people. Same with unelected, tenured civil servants too. Jobs for life, jobs for the boys, he says. In recent days, the PM, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Department of Working Pension Minister, have launched a barely premeditated attack on the sick and disabled of this country, the sovereign people who also pay tax, VAT, council tax, etc., etc., those that are forced to claim benefits and can either work to a limited capacity or not work at all. This myopic, moronic, bullying, cowardly attack is from the top down, with no thought, no bolstering of mental health services or any other system of rehabilitation or support whatsoever, by WEF and CCP-controlled shills, our government, a government who, along with the Tories, serve the likes of the WEF and the CCP, and worse, a government that wants everyone on social credits, allied with CBDCs and the 15-minute cities. Note, he says, how many city centres are being run down in preparation, and pay-per-mile cameras are being placed on major roads too. Yes, we have that in where I live. These ministers fail to tackle the really costly issues. Illegal wars, illegal immigrants, all aspects of foreign aid, payments to France for illegal immigrants, etc., etc. He says, I also ponder who paid the exorbitant joining fee for our MP to join the WEF, let alone the exorbitant subscription fees each year. Same with Sunak prior. All in a country with the world's highest energy costs being suicided by a costly program to achieve the wicked lie that is net zero. I have been forced to listen to the madness of the myopia and the psyop propaganda about the sick and disabled, and what a drain they are on resources, how lazy they are. I'd argue that such is just more 77th Brigade psyop lies to divide and rule and turn the masses against the sick and disabled. What the middle and upper classes don't realise, as they're boiled like comfortable frogs, is that the WEF shills want everyone on benefits, on a social credit system linked to mobile phone network, electric cars, smart meter electricity, etc. Total control over energy, money flow, freedom of speech, just like in China. In addition, the likes of Professor Tom Shakespeare state that at some point everyone becomes sick and disabled. The sovereign people of this once great country are in an undeclared civil war against them. Sadly, the vast majority, boiled like frogs, yet don't know it. It is called the art of war. The sovereign people of this country need to rally behind the sick and disabled now, and thus defeat the government, and to wake this country up from its Rowan-type slumbering spell, to realise that the art of war, this country is being invaded by young men of fighting age who are stealing paid for benefits. We all pay tax, even the sick and disabled, from the most vulnerable in society. If the sovereign people fail to do so, then, if they are not already suffered, they will be on benefits soon, social credits. Then they'll know what it's like to really suffer, because it will be too late. The system of government in the UK, the corporate Britain, is moribund, evil, has to go now. A light has been shone upon it for the good 5 years and more. It is no longer tolerable, it is no longer fit for purpose, that being to serve and protect us, the sovereign people. Kind regards, Martin. And I think he's absolutely right in many of those aspects. The email was a bit longer than that, and I had to chop out a few bits just for time's sake. But yes, I can understand that if you are on benefits, you've got to fill in these forms, you've got to report, you've even got to go to court to prove that you are well enough. You've paid into the system, you're paying tax, and let's face it, if the truth be known, of course, when we're born, we're all given this QSIP number on a certified copy of an entry, a birth certificate that is floated on the stock market, and our lives are traded, and people are making money, hundreds of thousands of pounds, if not millions of pounds, on our lives. And you can go and put your birth certificate number onto fidelity.com and you can see who it is, what of these corporations are actually making money based on your life. This is not complete and utter nonsense. The evidence is out there. You only have to look for it. It's very easy for people to just turn away and say, well, this is absolute rubbish. And that's those people who haven't bothered to have a look and see if this is true. The evidence, as I say, is out there. You just need the eyes to see. But if the weak and sick are unable to get support from having paid in the system, or these rich people or these corporations trading on their lives, then what hope have the others when we're all placed on a social credit score? We're all locked down in these 15-minute cities. We're surveilled to the hilt. We're told what we can eat and what we can't eat, that where we can go and where we can't go, and restrictions that we have in terms of how many holidays we might have, or even the clothes that we wear, because we're all saving the planet. It is a whole load of nonsense. Very soon, though, I am absolutely certain that we're going to see a complete change. I'm very optimistic. We're in the thick of the storm, the eye of the storm, if you like. And very soon this is going to change. And I think that the parasites of the world are absolutely worried that this comes out. Things like free energy, 0-point energy, energy systems that would be clean and clear and do not cause any pollution whatsoever. Systems that have been known about over 100 years ago and buried, so that we have petrochemicals and, of course, the whole oil industry, which is polluting the atmosphere and causing many of the problems, and all these awful plastics and things that is in the sea and in the environment being sprayed from the skies. Once this is released to the public, and there are many people working on this technology, this old technology that we knew about, the whole oil industry, the whole idea of net zero, the whole global warming myth will be finished. Absolutely. The rug will be pulled under their eyes. And as soon as people no longer need to plug into the electricity from the main grid that's based on all this nonsense of solar panels and wind and all of that so-called free energy, which of course has a terrible damage to the planet, then we will see it. And I believe that is going to happen fairly soon. And so actually, although we're all suffering at the moment, we're in the eye of the storm and things will get better. And that we need to have the confidence and the positivity to send those thoughts out. But Martin is absolutely right. Here and now, for those people who are ill, who are trying to just get a simple way through life, through the people that they've put in, that sovereign people have put in to look after them, it has failed. And it is time for a completely new system. And that, I believe, is going to come. So hold your nerve if you can. Be interested in your comments, of course, in the comments below. Until then, thank you so much for watching. And more interviews are coming up very soon. Thank you very much.